Welcome to the Balanced Ambition podcast. I'm your host, Matt Southam. Here, we delve into candid conversations with entrepreneurs, exploring both their business journey and their secrets to maintaining mental well-being. As we navigate the balance of ambition and inner peace, I hope you find insights, inspiration, and invaluable takeaways in every episode. Thank you for joining us. Paul, thank you for joining me today. I've heard your product described as life-changing. Can you first of all tell me what the product is and why it would be described by someone as that?
Thank you, Matt. Great to be here. Great to have a chat with you. That is very generous for it to be described in that way. It is a smart ring. So unlike other smart rings that record biometric data or offer contactless payment, think of this as a remote control for music, sports cameras, wireless speakers, or any other device. I think that's a lot of value and helps a lot of people, given that it's effectively a hands-free remote controller. So I know it's been really helpful for a lot of people with certain injuries and disabilities, but just being used routinely, I think it makes controlling other devices a lot easier.
Yeah, and I believe you can attach it to all sorts of things, handlebars of bikes and things like that. So you can, control the music on your phone actually without going near your phone.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a little bit of tech that have just popped out. So again, it sets us a feature that sets us apart from other smart rings is that you can obviously wear it in a ring, or it pops out and goes into different mounts, little Velcro attachment, so you can attach to handlebars, ski poles, kayak paddles, or any piece of sports equipment.
Yeah, and where did this idea come from then? Why did you feel there was a need in the market for this and got started?
It actually came from personal experience, a bit like a previous startup. So, cut long story short, I was skiing with a friend. The joke is he very selfishly injured himself on day 3 of this trip. He tore his ACL, which is a little bit inconsiderate because it meant I had to ski by myself. But I started listening to music and podcasts. But I found that with a big pair of gloves on, I couldn't get to my AirPods or even wired headphones. So invariably, I have to stop, take a glove off, reach inside my jacket, get my phone out just to skip a track or adjust the volume, put everything back and carry on. And I had a similar experience doing other sports, cycling, in the gym, on a rowing machine, rowing like an idiot with one hand, trying to adjust my playlist and get to a better song. And I thought,
I've been there.
is that just me? Yeah. And I thought, is that just me? But asking around, doing a little bit of research beyond friends and family, and turns out that this is a source of friction. So that's where the idea came from. I then left a corporate job. Well, I had to do the hardest pitch of my life, and that was pitching to my wife, saying, would she support me leaving what was a well-paid corporate job to get back into the startup world again? And so that was, almost 4 years ago.
Wow. Okay, so it's been quite a journey the last 4 years. I do want to jump back a little bit into your early career, but first of all, just let me know right at the start. So you left a corporate job to, what was the first step in setting the business up?
It was finding a agency that specialized in wearables and doing a design sprint. And I threw a bit of cash at that, got a couple of friends involved. The agency were fantastic, and we came up with the idea to put this control function in a ring. Initially, I thought it could be on a wrist-based kind of watch form factor. That started the process, and then after that, not being technical or having any sort of background in wearables or consumer electronics, I had to find a CTO, and it's kind of serendipitous. I through a number of meetings just met Kumar, awesome CTO, who we hit it off straight away, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Okay. Well, take me back prior to starting this and the corporate job. So you obviously had a career in the military for around about 20 years. In fact, you're a DSO, I believe, as well. So tell me a little bit about your early career, maybe how that has actually influenced the way you've approached a startup business.
Yeah, so I spent 20 years in the parachute regiment. Ended up going on 7 deployments, 7 operational tours, and left in 2012. And obviously, being in the military, if you're not on operations, the rest of your time you spend training. and a big part of that was leadership training. And yeah, the military's got a very distinct style of leadership. It's very autocratic. It's very objective based, and it has to be cold and logical, regardless of the outcome. Obviously, those decisions are based on the best outcome. But
Yeah.
I had to change that quite a bit, moving from the military world into the corporate world, and realize that actually that style of leadership just doesn't get you anywhere, and it had to completely change to a more consensus-based approach, making sure it was way more inclusive, accepting, and asking for lots of ideas. Not that we don't ask for ideas and input in the military, but yeah, a very different approach. And leadership is one of those, I think, huge subjects for me. I'm still learning in the startup world with a small team, but yeah, it's definitely changed over the years.
Yeah, I guess, while you can still be outcome based, actually there's, within startups and things like that, I guess more emotion comes into play, than necessarily the just looking at the data. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, it is. I think in the startup world, when you're such a small team, of course it's emotional, and we all make mistakes all day long, and we put our hearts and souls into this. We give up time with friends and family, and all the sacrifices that every startup founder or early hire has to make, and it is emotive, and you have to take that into account, and yeah, try and acknowledge those emotions, and I suppose focus on the more positive ones, and accept or dismiss the negative ones.
Yeah, yeah. You said about mistakes there. I mean, I guess whether it's in the military or out in the sort of civilian world, learning from your mistakes is probably one of the biggest things I've sort of found. And I know it's a common one. Did learn from your mistakes and so on. But what have you learned from building a product from scratch? When what were some big learning curves that you sort of really picked up on?
Yeah, if I can relate that to the military world, so both on exercises and on operations, anytime you go through a certain operation or go through a certain mission, once it's completed, we normally go through what's called an after action review, and you get really forensic, right down to the little details, and right down to decision making, whatever else it might be, just to pick through all of that and to see where you can learn from those mistakes and issues, acknowledge what went right, acknowledge what
Yep.
went wrong, and learn from that. I think I've adopted that going into the startup world. Um, it's with such a small team and so much responsibility on everyone's shoulders. There's no place to hide. You can't really blame it on someone else, but that's a big part of it. Is
Yeah.
as soon as you make a mistake, you've got to own it. You've got to accept it for whatever reason. And if you can analyze it, if it's a judgment call, what were the factors that led you to that decision? If it's more quantitative, then that's slightly easier. You can analyze that data. But yeah, I think it's good to deal with it and deal with it quickly. As soon as anyone makes a mistake, we own it, we analyze it, learn from it, get past it, and move on.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned in the military, obviously, you were either on operations or you were training or learning.
Yeah.
And I often found running a business, actually, you're always on operation.
Yeah.
It's like non-stop. So how do you find time, or how have you made sure you've found time to be able to, learn, improve, grow as a person?
I think that growth mindset and continually learning is such a key aspect of the startup world, particularly when you're bootstrapping. You just don't have the cash to outsource all of those jobs. Some of those tedious, even admin jobs that things that I don't enjoy, I'm not good at, but I have to get on and do it. If it's launching a product on a new platform, getting into the back end and learning how to get to grips with that. Some of those tasks don't come naturally. I think you've just got to get on and learn. When we paused, we were working probably after a couple of years. Co-founder and I, we were working 7 days a week, just non-stop. And we realized this isn't sustainable. It's not healthy. Okay, let's agree. No outbound comms, no nothing on a Sunday. Let's just take a break, but use that time catch up, do a bit of reading, learn whatever we can in whatever sort of subjects we're interested in, but use that time for obviously taking a break, spending some time with friends and family, but spending a little bit of time to sort of learn and grow. But you know, it's like running your own company. It's fast paced. You say, yeah, it's good intentions. Okay, I'm going to allocate an hour a day to do a bit of reading, and that never happens. Well, if it does, it's fantastic, but it rarely happens.
Yeah, I think you've got to be really disciplined, and I try and get some of those tasks done as early in the day as possible. You know, like
Yeah,
I've worked out this morning because I knew that I could go, oh, I'm going to do it at 4 o'clock, but actually
yeah,
the day just builds up behind you, and there's no chance of me, taking a break then to go. I'd put it off. So I very much try and get some of the activity that I want to do for myself as early in the day as possible before that day starts kicking you, basically.
exactly. Yeah.
You said you were working 7 days a week pretty much for several years. The, that builds up. The pressure builds up. How
Yeah.
how did you cope with that?
My one, I suppose, release is going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and like you, in the morning, I've got to get that workout done in the morning. Otherwise, yeah, it doesn't happen. And I've got a good indicator that my wife realizes I haven't gone to the gym or have skipped a session, because she points out that I turn into a bit of a grumpy idiot, and almost tells me all right, it's time to go to the gym. I've also got two big dogs, and their internal clocks are set for about 4:30, 5 o'clock, so they'll come and stare at me and tell me, okay, don't care what you're doing, time to take a break. And so that's I think a good way to get away from a screen, just take them for a bit of a walk in the local park. So I think those two sessions, one in the morning and a bit of a walk in the afternoon, enabled me to keep pushing the rest of the time. But yeah, again, that's not sustainable. A bit of time off away from work just to spend time with friends and family. I mean, I caught myself on once. I was sending a couple of emails on Christmas Day and thought, what is that about? That's crazy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I very much like that. Yeah, gym in the morning, walk in the afternoon. I feel that
yeah,
helps enable you to start your day well, but also try and
yeah,
switch out of work mode, ready to actually
definitely.
spend time with family, friends,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever it is. That change up.
And I think that opportunity just to get away from the screen, um,
Mm.
like most of us, you're either on a laptop or on a phone, and I try and have the discipline not to get my phone out when I'm in the gym or going for a walk, just to give my brain a bit of a break.
Yeah, I saw, interestingly, a friend had written a Facebook status this morning relating to gyms and fitness places, saying,
Yeah,
she used the word, I think, hijacked, but that's maybe not a fair assumption. But to use her terminology, hijacked by the sort of beauty, fitness, weight loss sort of movement. But in fact, actually, the gym is so much more. And I sort of realized that when I wasn't going to the gym, or if I missed the gym, when I was sort of in my 20s, yeah, I did get grumpy, and I thought it was
yeah,
because I'm not working on my body and progressing forward. But I've actually realized now, actually, it was just a stress release. And the
yeah,
reason I get a bit worked up if I don't go for a few days, I haven't released any endorphins. I haven't released that stress.
yeah.
It's nothing really to do. I'm not a competing professional athlete. I'm in my 40s. I'm not trying to have abs at the moment. It's like, what? Yeah, I'm just going for
Wait till you hit
me.
your 50s.
Yeah, but I'm just going for me. And
Yeah,
actually, the exercise isn't just about the pure physical training.
yeah.
It's so much more to release the stress and just make us feel better.
Yeah, totally. And I found that even if I'm feeling a little bit run down or maybe didn't sleep very well and don't really feel like a session, I think just getting out of the house and going and doing something, whatever it is, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, and acknowledging, actually, I'm not quite feeling up to it. I would normally do a little bit more, but I'll just cut my losses now. Just that simple process of doing something for 15, 20 minutes, I think makes all the difference.
Yeah. I've often heard people who are successful in business, it's often about, it's not such about motivation. It's about the consistency, I suppose, discipline on
Yeah.
carrying on every day, because we all get bursts of motivation. We're going to see that after Christmas with everyone writing and buying new running shoes, But it's actually the discipline of getting up every day and
Yeah.
going out running, which is leads to the improvement. Do you think some of your military background has helped you with that discipline of sort of always turning up, even when you're maybe not feeling it?
Definitely. I think one of the key traits, and there are quite a few, that transition so well from the military into the startup world, or even sort of big corporate world, is resilience. And just because
Mm,
so many sessions when it's miserable outside, and if you didn't have to, you wouldn't go for a run. But military, it wasn't an option. We had fitness targets to maintain, and there was that personal pride and regimental ethos. And guess what? Come rain or shine, don't care what it's doing outside or how tired you feel, you are going out to do a run or hit the gym or whatever it is. And
mm,
yeah, I think consistency is key. I read something the other day that said that to build even just a viable business from scratch takes 1,000 days of just relentless, consistent focus.
mm.
And I think, yeah, that consistency is key to keep plugging away and have that discipline to, when you're not feeling well or when things aren't going the way you planned, is just, yeah, keep on it.
Keep on it. Yeah. What have been some of the most rewarding parts of the startup? You know, was it the first time you saw the product actually come to life? Was it the first sale? What was
Yeah,
it?
I think in terms of ethos, that's another thing that we've worked really hard to celebrate, is all those little milestones and all those little wins, no matter how small or insignificant. Is just take a minute to say, actually, let's look back 6 months ago when we weren't anywhere near to the point we are now. Let's just take a moment to acknowledge that. I think it was every prototype getting something that actually worked, that looked something close to what we wanted. And of course, looking back
Mm.
now, those first prototypes were just big, ugly, awful bits of bits of kit. Um, so all those little stages were great. I think when we finally finished all the manufacturing and went through all of that product development and started shipping products in January this year, that was a huge milestone. And then even now, every time we get a little bit of feedback from a customer, or a customer takes the time just to put a little comment on social media, I mean, that's huge for us. I think for any business, just
Yeah.
I mean, once you get too far down the road, it's easy to lose sight of that. But for now, that's just so rewarding, seeing some little comments from a customer, knowing that our product they're enjoying it and getting value from it.
Yeah, you can talk about celebrating the little wins, and actually, yeah, I think I'm passionate about setting big goals and going for these, but actually, it's very easy to almost miss out the journey and
Yeah,
not celebrate actually each of the tiny milestones. Anything that you've done each day to move you slightly
yeah,
closer is a positive.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be so frustrating. Yeah, for me, yeah, if I haven't moved the needle in one direction or another on something, no matter it might be, there's that sort of frustration of, okay, I haven't really made any progress today. But actually, well, that's fine. You can't do that every day, but yeah, once you do make a bit of progress or hit those little milestones, so important to, yeah, acknowledge that.
Yeah. So talk me through? I mean, you might not be able to say, but what are some of your big goals with your company? What's the next step?
Well, I think like any ambitious startup founder, we're not going to be a one-trick pony. So this is just our first product. We've got a roadmap of 5 or 6 products, all variations on the sort of smart ring theme, and interacting and controlling with other devices. We've got a couple of B2B projects going on where other companies, where they make drones or smart glasses, want to use our products to control those devices and those bits of equipment. Our next, I suppose, closest in terms of time frame, our next target is building out our software. So we've got the hardware that's selling pretty well. We're happy with that, but we're going to add 10x the value by our next software upgrade, which is going to essentially be a filter on music recommendations with a view to improving physical performance. No one's doing that yet, not even Spotify. We think that's going to be pretty big. It's been about 18 months in the works. So yeah, that's going to be exciting.
So yeah, talk me through that then. So how's that? You don't- obviously not say exactly how it works is
Yeah.
in the background, but the benefit to users that's is going to adjust the music based on activity or what they're doing, or
Yeah, so it's pretty subjective. And not everyone listens to music when they do some sort of physical
no.
activity, but the vast majority, stats say it's about 80% of people enjoy music when they're doing some form of exercise, and it's pretty subjective. But when you get a song that you like that resonates with you in that moment, the science says that can improve your physical performance by up to 15%.
Mm,
And on the other side of that, it can reduce your perceived fatigue by about 11%. And there's a bit of science in matching that song to that activity. Now, it takes some user input. For example, you would need to put into the our app whether you're going for just a gentle Sunday morning jog, or if you're going hard charging for a 30-mile bike ride. It then takes the genre of music you like, and it'll match your playlists with your biometrics. And we're harnessing a bit of sports psychology, a bit of AI to match that up and try and replicate that psychological lift you get when you get a good song on.
nice. Yeah, I'm quite into the sort of the psychology of performance within sport,
Yeah,
and I've read about a recent study which they were basically either slowing down or speeding up time, and it was related to they were saying, "Oh, go out for a run and stop when you're tired." And some of
yeah,
them they prepped saying, "Oh, most people feel tired at about 10k," and the people that they'd said that would get to about 10.5k, 11k, and then feel tired, and because they wanted to just be above average, but then suddenly
yeah,
shut down. And there was another time when they even said on time, and then they actually sped up time and slowed it down because people, apart from a clock on the wall, which they did, they weren't wearing their own watch and things like that.
yeah.
And it was funny that we were taking signals, outside influences, to decide when we were tired and
Wow.
had enough. And I can see that with the music. I've been in the gym and suddenly a song's come on, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep going to the end of this song because I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
listen
yeah.
to this one. And
And
whereas
it,
if it hadn't have come on, I would have definitely decided there's no way I can carry on for another 30 seconds.
Yeah, and
So,
sometimes that just happens by chance. You might be at the right place in your playlist, or yeah, if it's pipe music coming through the speakers, it just might happen that your or one of your favorite songs comes on. Yeah, and we're trying to. So that's the challenge, trying to capture that and replicate it and serve that up on a more consistent basis.
yeah, yeah. You briefly, prior to us pressing record, you're talking about a project you're working with people who've come out of the military looking to work into startups. Can you talk a little bit about that and just tell me what you do there and the reason why you feel that's so important?
Yeah, when I first left, I was so naive. Even before I joined the military, I did a business degree, but obviously that I had no real sort of practical experience of application of that. So 20 years in the military, yeah, fairly institutionalized. And when I left, I think one aspect was trust. Um, in the military environment, you just automatically trust everyone that you're working alongside. You have to for
Mm,
everything to work, and quite often you're relying and putting your life in people's hands. And the first big contract I signed, I realized pretty quickly that actually, yeah, the guys who signed with were complete cowboys, and I'd lied to my face a couple of times, and I got ripped off massively. The only way I got out of that contract is they went bust, which is quite fortuitous. And uh, I mean and I sort of mentioned that, and I've had lots of conversations with others, and yes, we all know there's lots of sharks and cowboys out there, and I don't want that to sound too pessimistic. We all know there's a lot of amazing, fantastic people out there
mm,
whose moral compass points in the right direction, and they're just a joy to work with. But I was so naive, made so many mistakes with my first business. I wish I had have had access to a mentor or someone just to even get a second opinion if it was a judgment call. And so now I'm quite passionate about mentoring others. There's a lots of great charities out there, but one I'm working with is it's called Heropreneurs, and it enables people with a military background or even spouses, family members of those in the military who are setting up their own business for the first time to get access to a mentor. And there are about 70 or 80 mentors, some with just
mm,
some amazing experience that volunteer their time to mentor people setting up their first business.
No, that's fantastic. I think that getting a second opinion, is such a key part, because I think a lot of what
Yeah,
we see as business owners, at first we might look on social media, or we maybe Google it, but actually everyone's just talking about the good times, and
yeah,
it makes it look like, oh, they're doing really well, they're doing really well, but actually
yeah,
you need someone on a almost a one-to-one level just to sort of say, yeah, it's not always like that. There will be these challenges. If you've got that challenge, okay, here's how it could be dealt with. Here's one solution. Here's an idea.
yeah,
Just someone to, I suppose, sense check. And I think someone once said to me, business can be a lonely place, and
yeah,
I think that's true for startups, or in fact most business owners, because you maybe don't want to burden the worries that you've got on close family members, because they've had a tough day as well, and had it where I've got home, I've had a tough day at the office, and the missus has had a tough day, and I just think,
yeah,
I don't want to load on, so you just almost bottle it all up.
yeah.
But actually, yeah, to be able to have someone that can mentor you, or just like you say, run an idea past, I think that's really key. So that's some fantastic
Well,
work you're doing there.
yeah, totally. I agree. It's my wife gets a lot of the sort of frustrations and venting, and yeah, I have to respect that she's got a busy job as well. And just as you said, if your partner's had a tough day as well, the last thing you want to do is unload on them. And yeah, I found even with fellow mentors, I found some of those relationships just fantastic. Just to there's so much information out there, and wherever you get it from, but nothing can, I think, replace that quick conversation, even just unloading a little bit of frustration, but just say, listen, is it just me? And particularly if you've been eyes down and focused really closely
Mm.
with an issue that's been rumbling on for a while, so good just to get a second opinion, someone who's not intimately related with your business. Really
Yeah,
helps.
I often say, you only know what you know, and someone said to me a few days ago, but the thing is, you don't know what you don't know, and
Yeah,
that's often about having that mentor. You might have never just even considered this other option because you didn't know it was one. So it's
totally. Yeah,
just bringing those ideas together. So actually, you've got some options, you've got some choices, rather than just the only way you knew. And often,
yeah,
yeah, if you're starting a business and you've come from another career, you just don't know some of the ways that things can be done.
yeah, exactly.
Paul, it's been really good talking to you today. I want to finish just by asking a question that I often ask, and that is, what would be your number one tip that you would provide to someone who's looking to start a business, or is maybe in the early stages, that first year or two? What would be your tip to them to, you know, balance that ambition, or whatever it is?
That's a tough one. So much good advice out there. I think you've got to get into it with your eyes open. I know that there are so many glamorous stories out there, a lot of it on LinkedIn of startup founders, most of them dropping out of Stanford, working in Silicon Valley, coming up with an idea, don't even have a product, they get 20 million thrown at them, and before they know it, they've got some massive office with a neon sign and lots of foosball tables, and life is good. Um, the reality is, as we know, it can be a slog at times, but yeah, it's getting into it with eyes wide open. But if you and examining that motivation, if it's to make a quick buck, it's not going to happen. But if you genuinely believe in what you're doing, if others are going to find value from it, and you love what you do, then as the saying goes, I think paraphrase Mark Twain. If you get to that stage where you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And
Yeah.
I could never see myself going back to the corporate world. You know, startup world for me. And yeah, it's just fantastic, that freedom, the small teams. Okay, that might grow, but just the ability to make decisions uh, in a couple of seconds and get on and execute at pace and all the good things from it. At some point, yeah, might be able to pay myself a salary. That day might come. That'll be fantastic. That'll be another milestone to celebrate. But until then, yeah, it's just enjoying the process. And for me, and if others can do that, it just get that reward from creating something from nothing, and that others find value from. For me, that's amazing.
Paul, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our conversation today, and I genuinely wish you all the best of luck with the current product and the future line, I guess.
Thank you, Matt. Really good to talk to you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.